Hey everybody, how y'all doing? This is Connell.
This is Rangru. Hello, hello, hello.
And folks, today, Division 1 is our area of focus in the Season 8 ST2 League. Today on Shchedrin, who do we have, sir?
On left-hand side in the blue, we have Khers Foxes, playing as Fortress Group Toulon, with a Maverick income. Right-hand side in the red, we have Gonzo, playing the third VDV, also with a Maverick income.
You know, I didn't realize this until just now. Is there a minor left side bias with these flags? We're seeing a 14-10 without really doing a whole lot to deserve it.
Yeah, it's also just the speed of the traction down south of the MEKs, getting those two flags. We've also seen PTRSs being rolled on through, but there's goddamn, that is a Death and Need Key horde and a half down south, which is honestly a good place to push, as the southern side is perfect territory for SMG spam.
Oh, absolutely. And then we go to the Shchedrin to kind of, add weight to that entire push. Northern side, in the meantime, I feel like we've seen this a fair bit, where we've had a lot of setup teams between 47 mils and MG42s and 34s. I'm wondering if that's a parody, or if that's just like the usual breakout over here on this particular map. I don't know. I'll leave that for the philosophers. Brandenburgers in the meantime, as well as Kriegsmarine Infantry over here, trying to push back the Desaniki hordes. The Shchedrin for that matter as well. I don't know if I really hold out too much hope for their long-term success.
Yeah, it was a good infantry squad, but yeah, a little bit outnumbered in this sort of firefight. It's just a lot of Russian equipment rushing on forward.
And a T-34 being helped on in there as well. And unfortunately, the Marine Infantry, and heck, even this 47 mil over here, not going to pen it unless the Soviets are extremely foolish about how they press.
Yeah. It's going to be the one issue, is just the lack of anti-tank. We're seeing a Hotchkiss being brought on in, but by the time I even get anywhere close to the front line, it seems like it'll be a bit too late, because this is pretty much the perfect opportunity for Gonzo to just completely mop up this southern town. There's really not much stopping him after this initial front line.
Well, this is why I don't play mech down to the south. I mean, those mech troops are real hunky-dory and all that, but you kind of need him to actually be able to recon, and it's hard to recon when everyone is dead.
Yeah. But it's just a very heavy investment from Gonzo. Really, Khers Fox's best bet is just trying to push heavy up north, and it seems like that's exactly what he's doing. He hasn't managed to completely capture the far northern hill, as there's a whole heap of Desert Key on the other side, but he is trying to push onto the opposing lung here, just by the tip.
Well, and the fact, too, there's still a Maxim that's being able to engage a lot of material here. 76-2 has actually no more heat shells. That thing is a Winchester on heat shells, but not to be outdone. He is still engaged in that Martyr. And kills it with a HE shell.
Manages to lower its HP just enough to finish off the job.
You know, I prefer to think about it as like it's one of those 1 in a million shots, like a Death Star trench kind of thing where it lands in the open top.
Oh yeah.
Float plane in the meantime, gonna call an artillery strike down on the southern side. I'm wondering if there's gonna be able to get out. Actually, they should be able to. Yeah, Gonzo's gonna aggress. No, I was gonna say Gonzo getting his troops out of that area of effect.
No, you're 100% correct in that regard.
Twice in a week, Rang. Twice in a week. But in the meantime, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I mean... Ooh, 39 H's over here. These guys are not going to be long for this world, I don't feel.
No. Now, that off-map artillery is going to be pretty uneventful. And Gonzo is just slowly mopping up. The tanks down south for Khers can't really do anything. Yeah, this is pretty much a lost cause already, and we're not even 5 minutes into the match. It's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, but it's not anything more than a 12-12, which tells you how things are going up to the northern side. And that's kind of the fascinating part about this, too. If you lose the northernmost slopes, that's rough. If you use the lung, yeah, that's kind of rough, too. But I feel like it's better to lose the lung and take back the lung, get a lung transplant, as it were, than to lose the town down to the south, because the town is so freaking hard to dig out.
I 100% agree with you in that regard. This town is I mean, you can't really push up any more from that town. You can maybe grab out one bridge flag, just north of the town there, but yeah, it's always easy to take back at Long. It's more frontage. You're, of course, Khers is playing Toulon, and you have a lot of static guns, especially the anti-aircraft variety and also anti-tank variety, which can really just zone out the northern supply line if he just, gets one of those 105mm flaks onto the far northern hill. But he has to clear off those hills, and those that need key, well, they don't like being cleared off of locations.
No, they do not. And with the Papa shots that they have, yeah, that's... I would say it's an uphill battle, but since they're both in the summit, that kind of tells you a lot what's going on right there. And you can see it here. Shchedrin Pioneers trying to get into a flame war between 2 different squads. 3 different squads, they go down almost instantly, so...
Yeah. Just seeing an overwhelming amount of fire support from the open, which Khers can bring on in. But he's going to need, honestly, a good off-map artillery strike on that far northern hill, and then follow it up with an effective infantry push if he wants to take it. And that's such a critical location. If he can take that far northern hill, he can just pretty much shut down the supply line.
I have a ridiculous question. The mech troops, they're carrying an MP40 with a silencer on it, right? A suppressor?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't insane. Again, like I said, we don't see them very often, and there's generally a reason for that, but... yeah.
I forgot exactly what the mech troops are meant to be. I just think maybe like some German special forces or whatnot. People in comments can reply. I completely forgot. It's been a while since I've read the Toulon blog post.
I think, honestly, they're actually just cyborgs. This is the first attempt at Wolfenstein kind of super soldiers, and... regrettably, Blazkowicz had already been able to destroy the factory, so these are very, very early prototypes. So
yeah. We're actually down south. We're seeing a little bit of resurgence here from Khers. He doesn't got foothold into the town, but he does have a good amount of fire support, especially to see 75mm guns surrounding it. So if he was to get a decent infantry push, I don't feel like he can get all the way back into the center. That's going to be costly. But if he can just regain the tip of the town back, and then just zone out any further aggressions using his support weaponry, that could be a compromise.
Interestingly, this is the 3rd and final barrage that's being used on the northernmost hillside. In fact, I mean, we are seeing some kills happen here, courtesy of the Pak-36 over here. But this recon plane has been out 3 times in 8 minutes. That is actually quite an impressive usage in terms of how fast it's being utilized.
Yeah, he's really going to be blowing his load quite quickly. And he doesn't have, like a... If I'm looking at the deck... Oh, that's in the airplane tab. I forgot.
Yes, it is.
I forgot. That was throwing me for a loop. Eugene. Next thing you're going to do is put Stugs in the tank destroyer tab.
The assault gun tab, please. That's where they belong. Ridiculous question as well. That Skoda 285 to 75 mils, those are Japanese variants?
What the?
I don't know. It's a J. So I'm trying to think of any other German word for a country, a belligerent. They used a J, and I can't.
It's a Czech gun.
Yeah, which confuses me. Exactly. Hence my confusion.
Once again, people are in comments. You can correct us and look much more smarter and redo, thanks to the benefit of hindsight and Google.
Yeah, and you know what? I feel like we're overdue for a rooster check-in. I don't know about you, but I definitely feel like I need some learning happening here soon. Northern Hilltop, that last artillery barrage, not quite as effective as anticipated. Of course, there is still a Stug up here, so regardless, Gonzo is not going to have the easiest time with it.
No. Yeah, final artillery barrage was probably a little bit too backwards. If he placed it slap bang on the kill, it would have been a little bit more effective, and of course the follow-up has not been all that great. So Gonzo is still going to be holding onto that hill. He's having to fight pretty tenaciously for the lungs, but the Maxim guns are actually making short work of final German infantry push. And Gonzo's in a pretty good spot. He still holds down south, and he actually holds up north in a like 50-50 manner.
Wait. So you're telling me that one Du Bois Gonzo here has been having a bit of a tenacious day?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Khan, that's exactly what I was saying.
I would give you the greatest cast in the world, but this is just a tribute. So, and the 138 actually I forgot because it's so easy to see just shellac the front lines with artillery fire. He has those 50 kg bombs, so in my mind, those are just hanging underneath the pontoons.
He can be his own artillery now.
Exactly.
Oh my god, they're gonna need it.
Well, the Shchedrin on the northern side, right now, he doesn't have to worry too much. But 500 rounds of 7.92 later, regardless,
A bit of an issue.
it certainly does seem to be. Mm-hmm.
A lack of I forgot. There's quite a bit of a lack of anti-tank in the Desert Need Key infantry. It's not like when you're playing with guards or strokies, really, to get some anti-tank grenades or AT rifles. So he can afford to be a little bit more ballsy with his stugs.
Well,
with his full stug life.
It might be more Valentine's Day. So, I mean, by the time they get to the front, of course, it will be Valentine's Day. But, there's also going to be some other troops there as well. So Brandenburgers coming on in, and this Niki's, this is kind of recon by, firing squad, which is a curious way to do it. But hey.
We're getting some good hits on the Brandenburgs, at least. Getting a few licks in. But still, Khers will need a much more heavy infantry force here to push. He's bringing in, there we go, 3 squads of Maros. That is exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yes, and the Maros, as we all know, have 3 lives, which is why we have this happening. But now, the Abuzi 25s, I kind of forgot, you're right, that there's not a whole lot of anti-tank here in this tab. Certainly not in this particular phase. We finally do have 76-2s coming as an opportunity, both on the tracked variety and the untracked variety, i.e. foot power. You see 2 of them being brought up to the front right now. Looking to the south, though, but not a ton of availability. Maros to the north, and I feel like we're getting a slow buildup of troops in the south for a push to maybe take back... Yeah, to really take back this town. 8 squads of infantry in a Shtug. That is a nasty attack force.
Gonzo does have the Bougier as well as this 2 in a pretty good position. You've seen that Stug reconsidering his options as he's scared for his life, and rightfully so. But the 75mm is also in a pretty good spot to provide some fire support.
Only if he can see the target.
Yeah. If only. But I think honestly just trying to push not too heavy, but give an attempt down south just to get the edge of that town back is a worthwhile cause. Especially considering Khers is down by 1 flag right now, and that northern push did not go great for him. I feel like it's going to be a match where it's just going to come down to slow +1 advantages.
Yeah, but you know what? Every now and again, that kind of considered play is welcome here. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that it's one of those moments where we always need to have this kind of like thrust and counter thrust, and I know that's what a lot of people expect when they see Gonzo here. But this isn't SD44. The stroke goes down, by the way, on the northern side, courtesy, I believe, of that Valentine. This isn't the L6 rush. No. This is a much more considered play. The VDV cannot play rush deck, even though it's against Toulon. Toulon just has way too many tools. I'm sorry, yes, sir.
VDV is very dependent on geography for where it can push. Like, the rush down south works great for it because it's CQC, but especially up north where it's just massive open fields and then, a few forests, the VDV have a very hard time pushing out of those dense forests. Like, I don't feel like Gonzo's going to be able to actually effectively push from his lung position or northern hill position. All he can do is effectively defend it. His
northern hill position is going to evaporate, though, too. You can see right now all of that cover being obliterated by the 340 barrage, and actually his entire push just got shut down. Oh, that's brutal.
A bit danger close, yeah, but that is a very effective artillery strike for quite obvious and loud reasons. This is going to be about whether Khers can actually get onto that hill get some support guns on there, and then just try to shut down the road. He needs to catch Gonzo out in the open, because fighting in the forest against VDV is a death sentence.
Yes, it is. Like many of the Soviets who had served, it was a death sentence.
Yes. You're seeing just like the 1MG34 position firing on the troops coming up on the hill, catching Gonzo's snipers with the pants down. Very effective positioning.
Now, the thing is that they have more squads coming on in. Yes, there are Svedkas. Yes, there's the Dushka coming on in. But there's just enough, or I would say, of a scratch defense that if they hide behind troops like those... Oh, they're not hiding behind them. Never mind.
No.
I don't know.
I've seen a bit of artillery here from Gonzo. Oh, he's got the 132s as well as some 120mm mortar, and actually doing some very effective, I don't want to say counter battery, but frontline battery work against those Skodas.
Well, the Katyusha is ready to start firing, but I'm very distracted by this gunfight between the Moros, the Sturm Pioneers, and the Desantnikis. And the tank of Desantniki, yep, they're going down pretty quickly here just because they're just so abused.
Yes, and those Moros, of course, once again, some of the best CQC infantry in the game, because 150-meter SMGs are more accurate at 100 meters compared to PPSHs because of the whole accuracy scaling.
One more 340 barrage going to be happening in this northern mountain as well. And that's going to hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Because one thing comes down, it's going to kill the Su-76s and the Valentine, mark my words.
Yeah. I feel like his northern barrage is really going to make or break it here for Khers. Because this is, like, the perfect opportunity to Russian up and take that hill, because everything's just almost dead. But really follow up. And follow up fast enough, that is the question.
Katyusha barrage going for the 37mm. A curious decision.
Yeah. It's not the first time we've seen Katyushas being used for counter battery work, and that is definitely a little bit overkill. The question is really follow up through with more aircraft play. He spotted that because of the IL-4 getting shot. So, if you're going to be going after anti-aircraft guns, you better, for the love of God, be investing in a lot of aircraft.
Well, and in the meantime, the 340 off map was able to go and kill 2 Su-76s, a Valentine, and stressed everything else out to the point that I'd argue that is not a viable, that's a non-vibe position at this point.
Yeah, Gonzo's pretty much lost it at that point. The Maros have the high ground, they have the longer range SMGs. If that Stug can just get a little bit closer, he can just annihilate the Russians out in the open. But oh no, the Maros are pushing a bit too far, and those Desantnikis with those machine guns, especially the TT squad, don't really give a rat's ass.
I'm actually going to call out the fact that down to the south we actually have 3 Maxims kind of slowly pushing on in with a crazy kind of like machine gun battery, just hammering that town. And the town actually is slowly starting to fold.
Yeah. Yeah, Khers is getting that frontline position now. Getting those Maros, and yeah, really the Maros are just coming in absolute clutch. You got the 75mm providing good fire support as well as the Stugs. Yeah, once Khers can actually get that fire support up and running, he can actually push pretty effectively.
True. True. Now, the occasional Maro squad, they do take the occasional loss, but just an absurd amount of firepower here. And, yeah, geez, they have an MG42 supporting the front of the town. They have those 3 Maxim 08s supporting the flank attack. And an RSO. I love seeing this thing. This is such like a wonky track, but quite deadly, let me tell you.
Pretty much like the bare minimum of a tank destroyer.
Yes, yes, but it very often becomes from tank destroyer to tank destroyed.
Yes.
So, yeah. Yeah. There's a resurgent Khers coming here quite a bit.
Yeah, he's actually gaining quite a bit of momentum here. He's using his 2 float planes now as his close air support bombers, it seems. He's, I think, just taken that... Well, he hasn't completely taken the hill up north, so Sturmoviki's getting into a rather sneaky position there. But, yeah, if Khers can keep holding the north and get like 1 or 2 flags in the middle, he will be in a very good position.
Well, I think between all the fire sources to the south, he's actually going to be able to steal that breach flag back, at minimum. At minimum.
And he needs to for that +1.
Yeah, he's going to get it, though.
Yeah.
And I think he's making another setup over here to go back towards the lung another time here as well. Yep, it's 13-11. He's got the necessary flag.
Yep, and he's forcing Gonzo to fight more on his, favorable terrain, which is out in the open. And if he can keep us up and not get so caught up in the quagmire of CQC firefights, Khers will be in a good position.
I am confused by his donation of the recon plane over here just now. I know it's silly, but the recon plane was useful. Not sure why he felt the need to go dive deep with that.
Maybe he's trying to land in the lake.
It's entirely possible. You're right. That's the Kugelwagen, the Schwimmenwagen that can kind of go across that area. Down to the town of the south, the Shchedrin squads rushed on in to kind of support that Komroti Sapiri. Unfortunately for them, yes, they are going to be able to engage the Maros, and it looks like they're going to be able to take them out, but that's not the Schwerpunkt right now, to borrow the German term.
Yeah, we're seeing the IL-2 being brought in, but the 105 flak is not going to have any of that. Going after the IL-4 now, and geez, that's a heavy piece of anti-air. Forgot how fast that thing stresses stuff out.
Well, the weird thing is, though, is that the bombing run, not quite as effective as I anticipated it might have been or should have been.
Yeah. Gonzo's still holding that southern position, barely. He's taking the heavy casualties in the town.
You know what he's not going to be holding though in a second is that hillside to the north.
Oh yeah.
Nor the lungs, I would warrant, because we have these Kriegsmarine-Bootbesatzung being thrown on in. Now, Shchedrin rocks, very, very good troops, but very, very short-range troops. So,
yep. As you're seeing, this overwhelming amount of long-range machine gun firepower is really turning the edge here for Khers. The far northern hill pretty much falling out of Gonzo's control. We're seeing more Desert ET being brought up, and that just has Stug on that hill. This
formerly.
Never mind, no Stug on the hill.
But I don't know. I still think there's more than enough troops over here to actually kind of turn this away. It does presuppose they actually are able to force them to debark. And okay, they got one squad, but that may not be enough at this point. So I thought there was enough.
Yeah, and just looking at the front line here, just in general, it seems like Gonzo's position is much more tenuous now. He's got a lot more support backline units, but just looking up north, there's barely any infantry holding this front line anymore. It's all in Khers' favor.
The curious thing too is the Maro squad took out a Desantniki just without batting an eyelash, and then just decided to take a bit of a nappy poo. And now are resting 6 feet under.
Yeah, not the best move. Now Gonzo just barely, capping that northern flag once again. The battery Führer does not want to get too close, as well, they're not that good at close quarters. Khers just needs an infantry squad or two, really just a pioneer to come up and finish on the job.
Well, it's 13-11, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
And the Dushka gets taken out, and then Maxim's pushed back, and the other Dushka's falling back. Yeah, these Kriegsmarine the Besatzung over here don't have a lot against that T-34-76, but I'll tell you what does, is that Stug. That is engaging and very much in range.
And definitely a rise move for T-34 to back off. He's not going to win an open ground engagement against a Stug from that range. I feel like Khers may be overextended a little bit in the lung position. Probably sort of just try to keep hold of the northern part and then get some more reinforcements, which are trying to completely capture it.
I think the reason he's doing that, though, is he's using that pulled reinforcement point to aggress to the south. Yes, there's a couple of T-34s in. Yes, there's a Valentine. And there's even now some Desantniki being thrown on in. but he might be able to overrun this flag furthest west in that town.
Oh yeah. It's definitely a possibility. And yeah, just the town's getting annihilated. The Su-76 going down. It's really got 76 mil trying to do his darndest, but Khers is slowly getting a foothold now, but Gonzo is throwing in all the infantry. And you gotta realize, Gonzo took 2 cards of C-phase Descent Need Key.
True.
Which is, that's a lot of Descent Need Key. And they're very affordable, only 15 points. So, really, Gonzo's strategy at this point is just to bring in all the paratroopers.
They're also, though, very short range.
They are, which is really going to limit his offensive, capabilities to the far northern hill, his lung, and then the town. Which he can capture, but it's going to be hard for him to commit many more offensive operations apart from that.
Well, I was going to argue that it was going to be very, very difficult to actually even be defensive because, right now we're seeing it this on Nikki that's only defensive by charging pell-mell into the fray. And yep, does take out a Morrow to be sure, but I feel like that is a very, very difficult position to kind of be in. 105 is going to go down here to the south, little Katya doing her thing. And I think the other one has died. Yes, the other Katyusha has died.
Oh.
I don't know how.
Unfortunate for it.
Very, very unfortunate for it. Kriegsmarine troops in the meantime, it's back to a 13-11. Holding up, just kind of going to do what they do best with those fanatical traits. It's just fire like crazy. Yeah, you're going to fall back, but, you can fall back, but you never surrender, which is about as good.
And it's a very effective push here from Gonzo in the forest. This is the perfect terrain for him to engage in at CQC. He might be able to retake the lung. I don't think he can take the northern part of Lung back, but at least the southern part he should be able to clear out the Kriegsmarine.
The IL-4 just saved that northern push. He's going to force both those guys to surrender. I just saw a row of explosions. Really, really well timed on that one.
Not bad. Sure, Gonzo is at least getting a few, rings in the forest here. I don't feel like he's going to have really much chance in the hill and retaking the far northern hill unless he gets a very good artillery barrage of the Katyushas and then push on through. Which
Sure.
He might do. He's bringing in a few Descent Need Key for that purpose.
For that super northern push? Yeah, I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that, but hey. If that floats your float plane, then go for it, man. Stuk in the meantime is going to be engaged by the 120 mil stovepipes. Which is, I guess that makes sense, but at best you're going to stress it out. You're not going to kill it.
Yeah.
It bleeds, so you can theoretically kill it, but is it really the best use of your munitions? I would say no.
I think he's in radio range at least, so it should be pretty dead on. But if Khers notices this, he can just reverse 50 meters.
True. If he notices. Because there was a couple of rounds impacting right on top of it right there. And, of course, Caster's
Shouldn't have
Curse.
said anything.
Hey, you know what? I'm proud to see the fact that a 120 mil can, strike and actually kill something like that. It's impressive.
I like to imagine in that case the commander had the commander's hatch open and the shell just managed to find its way inside of the tank.
That, in my mind, is the only way that's going to happen. But it is a Stoke G, so it does have the machine gun on the cupola, so that does happen. I say cupola, but on the hull-mounted machine gun, so that would not be out of consideration. Southern side, in the meantime. Ooh, wait, never mind. Mortars are engaged in the mortar. Watch, 2 for 2. Well, they killed the Kriegsmarine Pioneer, so you know what? Close enough. But southern side, again, we're getting these very, very strange buildups where both sides bring in just enough infantry to kind of balance out the numbers in parity. And then they plow into each other with all, the care and concern of a rutting buffalo. So,
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely beneficial for Gonzo down south because he can afford to just fight for time and trade infantry. And as you are seeing, he's not deploying any of his infantry on the front line of the town because he doesn't have the range to effectively engage. Instead, he's trying to draw Toulon in a bit deeper and then just try to fight CQC.
Exactly. Well, on the IL-2, still getting the bombs off because that's still a flying brick. But not getting quite the same, not like I say efficiency, but the same wow factor that it had previously.
Yeah. Yeah, Khers still, so slowly get the +1, but Gonzo is starting to regain a bit of momentum. I mean, it's got pretty much the lung, or almost the entire lung, back. Once again, Northern Hill's going to be difficult. Down south, he's actually losing that town position now. It's just way too many Germans here.
Though they are certainly paying their pound of flesh for it.
They are.
I'm looking at the Toulon side, and I'm trying to think about anything that really would be worthwhile. No, they don't have a whole lot of artillery at this point, do they? Maybe in the...
He's only has those 2 off-map artillery planes, and that's it. Honestly, just a few mortars probably would go quite a long way in this matchup, because it's such an effective way to route out your CQC troops from the towns and the forest without having to commit your own CQC troops.
I was wondering if maybe the idea of the Flakesvillige, with 37 mil on the track, that might not have been a bad idea to kind of bring in. Martyrs being brought in, okay. I understand the martyr call-in. I don't think is the best idea.
There's not a whole lot of anti-tank.
No.
Tanks to anti-tank.
No. And Skirmish in the meantime trying to engage with Desantniki. And I'm not sure if a blind man was shooting at those Desantniki because he's just dogging every single step behind them, but not actually doing anything to actually stress them out. I don't know.
Doing their best to try to route out that little Desantniki position, but they are holding quite strong here.
That does seem to be the case. I'm actually just fascinated now is that the town starts to get penetrated here, just a little bit by a little bit by a little bit. And Skirmish are going to get evaporated here. Yep. But every single time there's a little bit of a push, gets stomped completely flat. Like here we go, the Pioneer Squad. Oh no, it's a Pack 40 is going to hit. There we go. Wow. Okay.
Good hit. And the Desantniki, just Gonzo's barely holding onto his part of the town with just a thread here. But at CQC, Desantniki are quite scary.
The MG08s proving their worth as being reliable, if a little bit outdated. Continue to engage the ZIS 3 and might get a stress before they die. Yeah, so both are rather stressed. And the Russian ZIS is going to get taken out as well. The captured ZIS. Ooh, look at Katya. She's doing her thing.
Not a whole lot to hit, yeah? But I think that's mainly just to try and clear up that position for Desantniki to counterattack. Maybe, yep. He's going to push on up. And then that T-34 is honestly in a pretty good spot. If he can kill that one martyr, he can probably just mop up the rest of the Germans down south.
True. Though the 285, the Skoda 285 over here, technically can kill.
Technically.
I mean, from the rear with the gear, so we'll see. Skirmish in the meantime going to be forced back. More Desantniki being brought on, and yes, they're going to get debarked, and that's fine. Because there's where one squad dies, we have this Hydra effect where another 2 squads get brought on forwards. And here they go.
Yes. Oh, I do like... Gonzo's pushing onto the other hill here. Through a lot of sneaky position. It's not a whole heap of forces, but I think that's enough just to definitely give Khers a bit of run for his money. If he can maintain that supply line and just keep getting dudes onto that hill, Like, Gonzo can afford to, fight CQC all day with his Destined Need Key spam. At this point, Khers is probably running low on actual CQC troops. I mean, he's bringing in a lot of Skirmishers now, which aren't exactly ideal for that sort of engagement.
No, they're not, but they're cheap. Not cheap as chips, but they're cheap.
Cheap enough.
Yeah, exactly. They're bodies. The Valentine gets taken out by the 75 mil, which unfortunately is open for the T-34. And I dare say the T-34 will put paid on that particular bill.
Yes, and it's now 13-11 for Gonzo, managing to secure pretty much the town. It's pretty impressive he's managed to hold on to it so effectively for so long. And just this little counter-attack actually in between the lungs of the T-34 is actually catching Khers with their pants down, as there's no real armor or anti-tank left. There's the Pak-36, but he can only do so much.
Well, the Pak-36 will open up, and then both tanks should turn their fire towards it.
Yeah. It's kind of a confusing Pak-36. You think of the 37mm Pak-36, but no, they also decided to call the Russian captured version the Pak-36. You gotta love German naming conventions, man.
Well, they figured one door knocker is pretty much like another one, so... but yeah, you're right. But I think it was a different caliber, though. I mean, the 76-2 as opposed to... Wasn't it a 50 mil?
The
Pak-36.
The German Pak-36 37 mil. I just think probably for a captured naming convention, they just reused numbers. I mean, they had so much captured equipment, they're probably just having a hard time keeping up.
True. That's very, very true. Gonzo, in the meantime, by the way, is being aggressive enough, and I think we might get that Martyr T-34 duel you were talking about. Of course, T-34 is going to know where the Martyr is immediately, and the Martyr is going to know exactly where the T-34 is. So it's going to be kind of a curious moment of, do they know that I know that they know?
It's like a match in War Thunder, where you know the guy's behind the building, and you're just waiting for him to pop out. And then you get killed by close air support.
Yeah. Unfortunately for the Martyr, it's much easier. Dude, don't move. You had 2 or 3 shots at whatever.
Oh.
Whatever. But you are also getting that entire supply line, as you called it, back into the left-hand lung at the same time as a PTRS rush goes into the town. T-34 isn't down, neither is the Martyr, but I get the feeling it's a, oh, wow, 15-9. Some of that flipped real quick.
Yeah, just a very effective push into the opposing lung. This is... I feel like Khers has just kind of ran out of steam. Of course, both sides are playing Maverick decks, but I think Gonzo just really taking a few C-phase cards. Yeah, I see he's also bringing a C-phase supply truck card, so he is actually pretty geared for some heavy artillery action.
One of the T-34s gets donated in the saddle between the lungs. The other one backs up because he wants to join his friend in death, it feels like. And to a single crewman, so that maybe... There we go. Picks it up. All right. Which leads to just the one Kriegsmarine troop a little bit outnumbered, but never outfought, it seems.
I know what's worse. Would you, as the Kriegsmarine troops, would you rather be on the U-boat, or would you rather be on land, just getting absolutely massacred by the Western allies, knocking on your door? I guess actually being on land, because then you could, surrender and survive the war.
Yeah, but maybe at the same time being on the water means you can shit-talk Hitler and no one's going to try to shoot you.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I think is probably one of the funniest bits of trivia overall. It's just discipline's kind of more of a vibe.
Just as long as tonnage getting sunk to the bottom of Atlantic, we're not too bothered.
Exactly. Which is kind of, and it's a, I would say it's a more relaxed workplace, but that kind of isn't the case.
They're looking for rock star employees.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, pressing F in the meantime. Desant Nikki going to the other side of the lungs, and yeah, if they pick up these lungs, I would say then the lady is certainly warming up. If you catch my drift.
Oh yeah, and the Katusha is definitely at lady, firing once again into a very good position. The Flak 36 and the Pak 40 not picking up any kills in that case, but actually getting some pretty useful surrenders here to allow T-34 to continue its thing. And by thing, I mean blowing stuff up.
Yes, I think... Let's see, where's he going? He's going to be able, I think, to see that Pack 40. And if he kills that, I would say it's completely over here in the south.
Yeah.
And then he decides that it's much more fun to shoot the PBIs. So watch the T-34-76 go down before too much longer. Yep, he's going to engage the PBIs. That was silly, silly, silly.
Will the Pack 40 hit? No, it misses because of the bad morale, allowing the T-34 an opportunity.
Well, they're going to be just tickling at each other. So not so much a wet noodle contest, but a contest nonetheless. And I am just watching with rapt attention. This is like a David Attenborough thing. And yes, the T-34, the brave, brave souls of the Rodina go on down there. Not to be outdone. Yep. Northern side, in the meantime, though, since there are no more anti-tank positions, really, to the northern side, there's one Flak 88. And other than that, as a Pack 40 is falling back, and he is not going to make it, let me tell you. Between the Razvedkas and the Desantniki.
Yeah, it's not ideal for the anti-tank weaponry to being engaged. Well, I guess one of them's technically an anti-aircraft weapon in a way. Being engaged head-on by the tank, and the T-34s is coming in absolute clutch, going to be picking off, and that's... Yeah, Gonzo's pretty much got this, I would say. So let's take it at times to 41-35.
Sounds lovely. So we're going to see in the meantime more Desantniki being brought over here along the center line. One Pack 40 being brought to the northern side as a bit of an FU, I think, towards that T-34-76. But there are 4 squads of infantry in support. So I would not expect that to go particularly well, regardless. The 120 mil stovepipes actually engaging and killing a lot of their own troops. And the Pack 40 goes down as it gets bum rushed by a Desantniki squad. So, yeah.
Yeah, at this point, Khers is probably just out of infantry, considering the lack of attacks down south, and really just lack of infantry reinforcements. I mean, Gonzo has 93 cards, or 93 units of infantry. Khers, only 68.
Well, when you're donating infantry to a Desantniki squad who really doesn't even use their heat shells, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and that's a GG, and pretty standard 1K KD.
Yes, indeed. And you can see right here, both squads had some friendly fire incidents. Let's not talk about maybe who those were. Russians. And I'm kind of fascinated. Yeah, the stovepipes, very well. The Valentine did decently well as well.
Actually, wow, he knocked out a Flak 88 with the...
Yes, he did.
The high explosive shell barely has, like, enough kick to get a 13-year-old drunk. Let alone, like, kill a flak gun, huh?
There's days I want to know what happened in your youth that we have a phrase like getting a 13-year-old drunk, but I'll leave that for another time. Entine over here, very, very good for himself. But, you know, a lot of the guys who were very, very killy were killy against things that shouldn't really matter that much, you know?
Yeah. And then looking at losses...
Shchedrin has a couple of moderately kills. The 76-2 captured Russian equipment, of course, rather killy. The 340 off map got 4 kills and a lot of suppression, I will say.
Yeah, one Maro doing decent. Soprania, I can't. I'm not even gonna attempt it. But that
Cipriani.
one Maro squad.
Cipriani. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's the Lady Khan weighing in. I've learned to speak their language. But yeah, other than that, I mean, a very sing-songy, a very seesawy game back and forth. Not really what I expected. I thought we were going to have a much more committed success bit. So, yeah.
Yeah,
yep.
Khers just ran out of steam just due to the attrition, really, of playing Maverick. Where Gonzo was playing Maverick, but secretly his deck was kind of balanced.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's very much what you want to be kind of keeping in mind is you don't want to play to form. Be flexible. There's a reason for it.
Yes.
But that's going to do it for us, I think, today for this particular replay. Unless you have any final thoughts, sir?
No.
Well, folks, if Rang has nothing further to add, Lord knows I got nothing to add. So until next time, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangaroo. Take it easy.